Intro. This essay is an overview regarding the status, situation, and political power of many dynasties in the area which is now China and some parts of Central Asia from the start of the Tang dynasty until the fall of the Great Man. Starting with the Tang dynasty. Tang overview. The Tang dynasty saw the invention of gunpowder, gas stoves, water/fireproofing, air conditioning, woodblock printing, and mechanical clocks. It also made considerable strides in tea production technology, poetry, one of the most famous Chinese tea, its Silk Road trade on both land and sea, and its agricultural machines that sped up the process of planting and harvesting products. Lands under Tang dynasty rule compared to southern Song. The rise of Tang after numerous uprisings leading up to the emperor's assassination in 618 CE led the Sui dynasty to collapse, allowing Li Yuan, former Duke of Tang, and governor of Tai'an, under the Sui dynasty to seize control of the throne. Li Yuan adopted the Sui land distribution system and a taxation system allowing every male liable to tax a plot of land, reducing the number of big estates. He was also able to establish mints and coinage, which was used until the end of the dynasty. The Xuanwu Gate incident, which took place in 626 CE, was a coup led by Li Shimin, the second son of Li Yuan, in which he and his supporters killed Crown Prince Li Jiancheng and Prince Li Wenji, forcing Li Yuan to make his remaining son the crown prince. Immediately after the Xuanwu Gate incident, an encounter between Li Shimin and Wei Zheng, a senior advisor of Li Jiancheng, gives us some insight into how the newly made crown prince acted. The former advised Li Jiancheng to kill Li Shimin. Knowing this, Li Shimin summoned the former advisor and stated, "I heard that you advised my brother to kill me." In response, Wei Zheng said if the crown prince adopted my advice, he would not have met his end like this. Moved by Wei Zheng's loyalty towards his brother, Li Shimin made him one of the prime advisors in the new administration. 2 months later, Li Yuan abdicated the throne, allowing his son to rise as the emperor Taizong. Like many new rulers, Taizong introduced many reforms. Taizong's statute book contained 500 articles and was a lasting achievement. The statutes regulated many things, notably Confucian ideals depend on the relation between perpetrator and victim. For example, there would be harsher punishments for a crime committed by a son against a father than a crime committed by a father against a son. Taizong also implemented the civil service structure that would go unchanged until the dynasty fell in 912 CE. Economy and foreign relations. In this period, production development led to a wealth increase in the Tang dynasty. The work of peasants and the production of goods assembled the base of the economy. Aside from agricultural and other forms of production, commerce grew too. Many vessels transported paper, silk, ceramics, and other goods along the Grand Canal, which united the great rivers of China. As external commerce grew, hundreds of caravans traveled along the new and old trade routes, including the Silk Road on land and sea, which introduced exotic products like cotton, spices, crystals from countries like Korea, Japan, Indonesia, India, Persia, even reaching some parts of Europe and other places. The downfall of Tang, the dynasty's wealth and power peaked in the early 8th century, which was a golden age when its arts flourished. Wu Ho, one of the most remarkable women in Chinese history, snagged the position of empress during the reign of the Gaozong Emperor 649 to 683 CE. During Gaozong's illness, Wu Huo ruthlessly expanded her role by inflating the bureaucracy. Despite her excesses, she maintained a firm grip on power until she was forced to abdicate in her 80s. The aristocracy, scattered, murdered, and imprisoned under Empress Wu Ho, was restored and oversaw a period of reform. However, in the second half of the 8th century, a rebellion erupted in the northeast and quickly spread, forcing Emperor Xuanzong to flee west to Sichuan. Although the rebellion was eventually put down, it was followed by a period of provincial separation and later rebellion. By 818, Emperor Xuanzong had restored the empire's authority over most of the country. The government became weaker in the second half of the 9th century, and rebellions occurred, causing the control of the dynasty to dwindle. In addition, the Jia gained autonomous control, and the Huangjiao Rebellion 874 to 884 CE sacked both Chang'an and Luoyang and took a decade to suppress. Although the Tang defeated the rebellion, the dynasty never recovered, leaving it vulnerable to future military powers. There were also bands of bandits the size of small armies that ravaged the countryside in the Tang's final years. These bandits smuggled illegal salt, ambushed merchants and convoys, and even besieged several walled cities. Zhu Wen, a salt smuggler who had served under the rebel Huang, surrendered to Tang forces. He received a series of rapid military promotions in exchange for his assistance in defeating Huang. The Tang dynasty ended in 907, when Zhu Wen, now a military governor, deposed the last Tang emperor, Emperor Ai of Tang, and took the throne for himself. Zhu Wen poisoned and killed the deposed emperor Ai a year later. Posthumously, Zhu Wen was known as Emperor Taizu of the later Liang dynasty, which marked the beginning of the 5 dynasties and 10 kingdoms period.